Inside the mystery, see the empty cross, see the risen Savior, victorious and strong. No one else above him, none as strong to save. He alone has conquered the power of the grave. Glorious, my eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. Glorious, he stands above the rulers of the earth. Beyond the tombstone, see the living God, see the resurrected ruler of my heart. No one else above him, none to match his word. The hope of his returning fills the universe. Glorious, my eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. Glorious, he stands above the rulers of the earth. Glorious, glorious, for you are glorious. You are glorious, glorious. My eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. Glorious, he stands above the rulers of the earth. Glorious, glorious, for you are glorious. You are glorious. You Thanks to the Lord our God and King, his love endures forever. For he is good, he is above all things, his love endures forever. Sing praise. Mighty hand and outstretched arm, his love endures forever. For the life that's been reborn, his love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us. Forever and ever, forever. Rising to the setting sun, his love endures forever. And like the grace of God, you will carry Everyone needs compassion, love that's never fading. Let mercy fall on me. Everyone needs forgiveness, the kindness of a Savior, the hope of nations. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Take me as you find me, all my fears and failures. Fill my life again. I give my life to follow everything I believe in. Now I surrender. I surrender. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Jesus, shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Jesus, shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave.
Scripture this morning comes from Psalms 71. In you, O Lord, I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. In your righteousness, deliver me and rescue me. Incline your ear to me and save me. Be to me a rock of refuge, a strong fortress, save me. For you are my rock and my fortress. Rescue me, O my God, from the hand of the wicked, from the grasp of the unjust and cruel. For you, O Lord, are my hope, my trust, O Lord, from my youth. Upon you I have leaned from my birth. It was you who took me from my mother's womb. My praise is continually of you. Word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Morning. It is such a joy to be with you here this morning in this place, to share with you here in worship. As we come together today, we give thanks and praise for this opportunity to share with one another in God's house. We will call people, and here we are. As we come together this morning, I want to invite you to please sign the friendship register as it passes among the rows. It will come from the back. Note those with whom you are sitting and those who are sitting around you, that you may greet one another at the end of our service with joy and thanksgiving. As we come together today, we come together also as a people of prayer, a people lifting up our hearts, our minds, our spirits for God's blessing. Today I have a couple of joys to share with you. First joy this morning is that Oliver's surgery went really well. He's up and running around already as though nothing was amiss. So we praise God for that and for energetic little boys and for the bright sunshine they bring into the lives of those around them. Also this morning, it is my joy to welcome new members to our congregation in absentia. They're not here with us this morning, but have been worshiping with us for quite some time, and after a lengthy visit with both of them at different times this past month, they have decided to move their membership. These persons are Mary Margaret and Beverly Reynolds, and we are pleased to welcome them. Beverly is a former pastor's wife. Her former husband is deceased now, and her second husband also, Everett, is also deceased. And she finds that we are the place she wants to land, and she's been a disciple all of her life, and in searching for Disciples Church and finding us quite some time ago. Actually, she's had a relationship with this church since I came to this church, but had not been attending very much at all until this past year. And she and her daughter, Mary Margaret, who works here in town with Head Start, and actually is a retired ordained pastor who decided to do ministry in secular life through the job she has now, have decided they would like to join their membership with us and have indicated that to me. So that is a great joy. And so when they come, we greet them now as members and with Thanksgiving. So we look forward to that. In our prayer concerns this morning, we want to lift up Ken's son, John. Ken is having surgery up in Portland on the 26th. He will it is a cancer surgery to remove as much, if not all, of the cancer that is possible. He is recovering at home from the 38 days of time that he spent in the hospital already. We're hoping that this time in the hospital will be much shorter. Good news, but also in our concern, Alpha Jeffries has a surgery date in early September. She will be having surgery, I believe it's the 9th, I have to check my date for sure, but she will be having surgery to sort of unscramble the nerves back here. It is a surgery that they tell her should go in very early, have the surgery, she should be at home in the late afternoon. However, the first 2 weeks after this surgery will be a very difficult recovery, and we as a congregation are going to seek ways that we can help in that recovery by possibly bringing meals and offering other kinds of hospitality and aid at this time. So please be thinking of Alta and Randy as they approach this time. It is a time of hope for them because this could mean, if not a complete end to the excruciating pain that Alta suffers every day, it might at least be some relief and a lessening of that pain. So let us pray for success in this surgery. We also want to be in prayer today. We would pray travel mercies for those who are coming home from a funeral in Idaho. The Nicoles have traveled there to be with Sharon's sister in the loss of their niece. Please be in prayer for them as they come home. I do know that Todd and Beth are on the road at this time and have more than once had some issues on the way. So please be in prayer for them. And also for Wells and Sharon as they travel another route on their way home. And I want to give thanks to those who have stepped in to fill in for both for Sharon this week. She had responsibilities that she knew that she'll have calls from somewhere else. And so thank you to those who stepped in to help out. Prayers this morning for Pastor Malele Hobbs, who is one of the co-pastors of Trees of Righteousness. Malele suffered a stroke very recently, and while she was having some minor treatment to help her with it in the hospital, she had a seizure on the table. And that was very frightening for both she and James and has caused a great deal of difficulty. James is taking a time of family leave to take care of her. And Reverend David Eggleston, who many of you know, will be filling in for James at Trees of Righteousness for the time being, preaching and trying to fulfill the many, many, many jobs that both Malele and James hold as they work with people in very difficult situations there at Trees of Righteousness. So please be in prayer for those persons who are ministering to them and for the regional minister and president, the regional ministers as they also minister with both of these couples as they seek to minister in their lives. We want to be praying also today for those who are beginning the recovery from the flooding that is slowly receding in Louisiana. Please be in prayer for them. For those who are caught in the midst of California fires, who are returning home to homes that are not there, homes that are severely damaged, and to other areas, and still there is fire danger, so we continue to pray for them. Also this morning, as many of you perhaps who watch the news or who have any kind of presence on social media, we are lifting up prayers today for the children in Aleppo and for all of the children in Syria who are left with no choices. The visions that we have seen are devastating and disturbing, and they should be. And we, as people who follow the way, are called to pray for these children and to lift them up and to continue to pray fervently for peace in this region, in Syria, but in all of the world. Let us pray for peace. For those who are with us here in this place and that great crowd of witnesses, please join in a time of personal prayer and knowledge in this moment. Gracious, loving God, having called us into your house, we seek your blessing, O Lord, that your hand may be laid upon us and that your strength may be within us, that we may know, O Lord, your power, your passion, your compassion, your hope, your dreams, your vision for our lives as a church and as individuals. We ask, O Lord, that you bless those to whom you send us with words of kindness, with words that come from a mouth that is wound, bound, and loved by Christ. O Lord, we ask that your hand of healing be upon those whom we love, that they may know your power within them. And we ask, O Lord, that your hand of healing be upon those we do not know, to the stranger on the street, whose story we cannot even imagine. We ask, Lord, that your strength be a guide, your comfort be ever present, and that we, O Lord, would be people of compassion and kindness in the lives which we touch each day. We pray this morning, Lord, for places in the world that are broken and hurting. We praise you, Lord, for the receding of floodwaters, but we ask, Lord, that you sow patience and calm, that you bring community and unity to a place that is already known great devastation. That they may heal and rebuild and grow stronger. And we ask, Lord, that those who continue to be in the path of destruction, that they will know safety in you, O Lord, and be protected. That your hand of mercy, O Lord, will come and your healing mercy will bring an end to these fires. And to the fire, O Lord, that rages in the hearts of men and women, all people across the world. Not the kind of fire that we would call not a passion for Christ, but a fire of violence, a fire of anger, a fire of destruction and devastation. We call, O Lord, for peace, for hope, for rekindling of dreams, for children to be able to play in the streets without fear. Lord, help us to be a people that prays fervently and works in our own communities for an eradication of fear, a sowing of love, grace. And today, Lord, we celebrate. We celebrate life renewed and life healed. We celebrate new hope blossoming and coming forth. And we ask, Lord, that you be with us in this celebration. Remind us that even when devastation stands in our way, there is still a dance to be danced, a song to be sung, a prayer to be prayed, hands to reach out, hearts to embrace. But we are the people of your love. We are your people, called by your merciful grace in our lives. Help us to answer, dance, to sing, to heal, to help, and all you call us to do. Pray these things, Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ, who taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. But at this time, I'd like to invite the children to come forward. Come on down. Jordan, you want to come down and join me? Come on down. I'm getting to walk under. It's so strong, it's why. Well, hi. I said good morning to you. And I said good morning to you too. Yes, look at you. Look at you. You're getting so big. Well, this is something that Peyton knows about, and probably Jordan will know one of these days. Sometimes it's hard in our everyday lives to talk about our faith. Yeah, especially as a kid. Even you. And if we go to school, and you're going to go to school pretty soon, or not yet. But you're going to go to school soon, right? In just a few weeks. Maybe it's only a couple weeks now even. You are going to head off to school. And that's exciting, first of all, right? Because, well, there's new things to learn, and new people to meet, and old people to reconnect with, and that's pretty cool. But also, the school is not always a place
not always a place where we get to just talk about our faith, is it? Yeah, it's not. But it is a place we can show our faith. We can show our faith by being kind, by being gracious, by being respectful. And sometimes, when I used to work with kids all the time back when I was in long before you were born, kids would say to me, but I'm too young. And the first time you talk about in the sermon today is Jeremiah, and he was a prophet. And a lot of people seem to think that Jeremiah was like this old man. But actually, Jeremiah wasn't old at all. And the scripture I'm going to read actually gives us an indication. Because Jeremiah calls himself a youth. So here's a little bit of historical knowledge for you. In the Jewish faith, which Jeremiah was a Jew, in the Jewish faith, you become a man when you're 13. Baby, you would already be a man. Yeah, you would. In the Jewish faith, you became a man at 13. So it's very interesting that Jeremiah calls himself a youth. Because that means he is somewhere from between the ages of 12 and 14, maybe 15. He's pretty young. He's younger than you. And you know what God was calling him to do? Tell all of Israel how unhappy God was with them. And then try to turn their hearts back to God. That's a huge task, isn't it? Yeah. But God knew that Jeremiah had the faith to do it. And God was going to be with him no matter what. So sometimes we may think that we are too young. But we're never too young. And we're never too old. That looks so cool, doesn't it? To share our faith with people. So, as you go back to school, and as you keep growing, I want you to do your best to share your faith with smiles and high fives and telling people, I think you're great and you're worthy. And when you see things happening around you, like people being mean or bullying or putting other people down, you need to stand up and say, that's not okay. And be the presence of Christ. Okay? It's something we hope we can teach you to be. You just don't take it this way. Wouldn't that be exciting? Can we pray together? Okay, let's pray. Loving God, I thank you for Jordan and for Peyton. They are the opposite ends of growing at this point, and yet still so similar, still learning so much, and still open to learning so much more. I ask, Lord, that you bless their lives, raise them up in the way that you are calling them to be, and help us, Lord, to be examples of faithful living to them, being the presence of Christ, being Christ-like in their lives. We praise you and we give you thanks, Lord, for these young people and for all those who watch over them. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Scripture this morning comes from Ephesians chapter 12.
You have not come to something that can be touched, a blazing fire, darkness, gloom, tempest, and the sound of a trumpet, and a voice whose words made the hearers pay that not another word be spoken to them. They could not endure the order of this word. If even an animal touches the mountain, it shall be stoned to death. Indeed, so terrifying was the sight that Moses said, I tremble with fear. But you have come to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to innumerable angels in festal gathering, and to the assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, and to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. See that you do not refuse the one who is speaking, for if they did not escape when they refused the one who warned them on earth, how much less will they escape if they reject the one who warns from heaven? At that time his voice shook the earth, but now he has promised. Yet once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heaven. This phrase, yet once more, indicates the removal of what is shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us give thanks, by which we offer to God an acceptable worship with reverence and awe. For indeed, our God is consuming fire. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Invite all for able to please stand as we join together in our hymn of discipleship.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteous breast. I dare not trust God's sweetest name, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid cornerstone, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. When darkness veils his lonely face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid cornerstone, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. His own is power and his blood, so pour me in the welling flood. When all around my soul is weak, he then is all I hope and stay. On Christ the solid cornerstone, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. And he shall go with every sound, Lord, in me found. As clean righteousness of love, all blessed stand before the throne. Lord, Christ the solid cornerstone, all other sinking sand, all other is sinking sand.
Hear the word of the prophet Jeremiah in the First Testament. Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Then I said, Ah, Lord, truly I do not know how to speak, for I am only a boy. And the Lord said to me, Do not say I am only a boy, for you shall go to all whom I send you, and you shall speak whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, says the Lord. Then the Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said to me, Now I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and over kingdoms, to pluck up and to put down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Let us pray. Gracious, loving God, speak to us through your prophet, through your word. Help us to hear, O Lord, Jeremiah in our own hearts. And lay your hand, O Lord, upon your servant, that the words of my mouth and the meditation of your heart and to your glory. Amen. It wasn't monumental. There was no flash of lightning. There was no roll of thunder. I'm not certain there even was a still small voice. The Reverend Jack Daniel was leading the young people at Crescent Christian Camp in the northwest part of, the southwest part of Missouri in our closing circle. It is a tradition in the Missouri region to gather the children in a great circle at the end of camp and to invite any of them. It's like an altar call, but they've all already joined the church for the most part. So to invite any of them or anyone present to step into the circle, and then we would lay our hands upon them and bless them, because these were people who felt called into ministry. And so we closed our eyes. It's what we did. The ordained pastors all stood around with their eyes open because, well, they've already been called to ministry, hands have been laid upon them. So Jack and a couple of others were standing there in a circle, all of us in the circle, and we closed our eyes, and Jack made the call, and then he called for us to open our eyes, and only one person stood in the circle, and that was me. Now here's the interesting thing about that. I was at that time serving as the interim youth pastor or youth coordinator and Christian education director of the First Christian Church of Lawrenceburg, Missouri. It was something to do while I finished school. I had been planning to be a teacher for most of my life, and I looked forward to going back to school, finishing up my student teaching, to getting a job, and working with children my whole life. I had no plans to be a pastor. The other interesting part about standing and opening my eyes and standing in the middle of the circle is that I never took a step. I never moved forward, and I'm certain that all of those young people, 58 of them in total, could not have gotten together and said, when he does this, we're all going to step back. I looked around. Jack told me, you had the most fearful and horrific look upon your face, finding yourself there in the center of the circle. But there they were, all around me. And they gathered in and they laid their hands upon me, and Jack prayed for me, and I kept saying, what is going on? I don't belong here. Now, none of those young people could know the reasons that I might say that. As many of you heard me quip on one occasion or another, I am the quintessential preacher's kid. I have no intention of being a minister. I will not marry a minister. I don't want friends who are ministers. In fact, I'm not positive I want to do anything but sit in the back of the church and then leave. And yet, here I was. God did not say, come with me. That took a much longer time. But as I drove home from camp that year, heading back to my job, both as the interim youth person, as a 9-to-5 nanny, and as a very, very part-time college student finishing up a degree, I began to think, hadn't I just that spring, when driving home from not just a failed student teaching assignment, but a devastatingly painful student teaching assignment, cried out to God, I cannot do this anymore. I put this in your hands. I no longer know what it is you want me to do. Take this from me. When Carrie Underwood began singing that song, Jesus Take the Wheel, I resonated with it because I remembered that moment in my life, crying, driving all the way home from Kansas City back to Warrensburg, down the interstate, tears flowing down, not really knowing where I was going or how I was driving, and begging God, please take this. Show me the way. Had it not been me who had said to Harry Spear, the pastor who called me in the middle of the evening not too long after that incident and said, I know you're heading to Iowa, but could you come down to the church for 30 minutes and interview for this job because I think you'd be good at it. And I had said, sure, why not? I like the kids. I like kids. But there we were. Again, in a car driving back to Warrensburg, unsure of what ending up in the center of the circle meant. As I said, it took many more months and actually years before I heard that voice that said, you are mine. Come with me. But I set myself on that course. I called my parents and I said, so apparently I've been called by God. And my father, I used to do this. I would call my parents and just make these random statements. This happened. I won't go into all those things. And my dad would say, and? Or my mother would say, and what do you want us to say? But when I called and said, apparently I've been called by God, I've decided to go to seminary, my parents both went, what? Are you sure about this? I said, I am. I'm going to finish my degree, and then next August, I'm going to go to seminary. Where should I go? My dad said, please just go to the Disciple Seminary. I don't care where you go. What's funny about that is I was actually considering St. Peter's, or St. Paul's Methodist Seminary up in Kansas City, because then I'd be close to everybody I knew, right? And it would still be kind of fun. Because I didn't want to go off, I didn't want to be scared, I didn't want change, I dealt with that enough. But I heard what my father said, and I went to seminary. That's how God called me. Somehow God moved me from the edge of a circle into the center. Somehow God knew where God wanted me to be, even though I didn't. And those first 2 years of seminary were so shaky. There's a reason it took me 5 years to finish. It wasn't until 2 years in that I really felt God's hand on me, that I really felt God saying, you are mine. My father's call story is different. My father found himself in the very early stages of his college career knowing that he wanted to do some kind of ministry. But it had been previous to that he had felt that call from God. Somewhere around his junior year of high school, he was laying in the grass on a hill near his home in Adel, Iowa. He had just finished fishing with his friend Jim, and he was laying there in the sun, arms outstretched, and he said, I distinctly heard God say, Michael, love my people. And in that moment, I knew that I would be attending Drake University, which incidentally is a discipleship school, and that I would be going to seminary. I knew then. Robin Fickers Bless, who works under me in Grand Island as a youth pastor, tells the story of her call to ministry. She said, I don't know, I think I was 5 or 6. I just knew. When I saw Ron Allen, the pastor who had been there at the time, standing up in that pulpit, and he was preaching, and I felt a tap on me saying, this is what you're going to do. Follow me. She said, I never played teacher. I played preacher. I knew then. And she trajected her life so that she would be where she is. And God has brought many, many surprises into her life. But she is a force in this faith. And she trusts in God's goodness. And I look at her life and some of the things that have happened in her life, and I wonder, how do you still keep going? And yet she does. My friend Brian Hatch, who happened to be at camp with me at the time that I had my call experience, had the perfect life set up. He was about to graduate from college, just like me. He was about to get married, not like me. And then he was headed into the perfect way for things to go. He didn't have to look for a job. He didn't have to call around. In fact, his father owned a business in Lebanon, Missouri. And he knew that he would be taking over that business, and that was his life. That they would build a dynasty with that, and that his children would run that business, and his children's children would run that business, and that is exactly what Brian Hatch did. Brian Hatch went into business with his father, and he says to me, it was okay. I liked it. It was comfortable. The money was very good. We went to work. I did my work, and yet my life away from that job was falling apart. And so my wife and I made the very difficult decision to move away from Lebanon to a small town about 45 minutes from my parents. It got harder and harder to go to work. We found a church, our own church. We began to serve in that church. And before I knew it, he says, I found myself standing in the middle of a circle. Called by God. He did go to Kansas City, up to St. Paul's Methodist Seminary. He was there for 2 years and received a bulk of his training. And then, because of things that were going on in his life, he had to leave seminary and decided to take the commissioning track toward ordination. And he's still working on that. But he has been serving a congregation for 10 years. And in order to serve that congregation, to answer his call from God, he works 3 other jobs, so that he can pay and take care of his family. And life isn't perfect, but he says, I'm happier than I have ever been because I'm doing what God wants me to do. Now you may say, well, these are all pastors. All of you are ordained or commissioned on your way to that place. What does this have to do with me? It has everything to do with you. God has been calling each of us all along, pulling on our hearts, pulling on our spirits, calling us into ministry. We aren't all called to stand up in front of a congregation, to prepare a sermon every week, to worry about all of the little things that happen in the church that are details that pastors hold and carry. Not all of us are called to work in that kind of ministry. But we are all called. Like Jeremiah, we are invited to use the words which God has placed in our mouths to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, to share the story of the church, to share our own stories. And what is the best way to do this? How do we answer this call? It begins by listening. Listening to what God is placing in our lives. Perhaps our call to ministry is sharing Jesus' good word with the person sitting next to us on the bus. Perhaps our call is practicing kindness each and every day of our lives. I read a poem just this past weekend that said, I am called to love. And when I fall short of loving, I will love again. I am called to love. And when I make mistakes, I will commit myself to loving again. I am called to love because I am love, because I am the voice of Christ. Your life, your very life in this place, is a call from God to reach out to His world, to be with people. We don't have to hit them over the head with the Bible. That gets us nowhere. We don't have to point out what they're doing wrong. We really just have to live our lives doing the truth that Christ has placed in it. And they will want so much to be a part of that truth that they will turn away from whatever it is that's pulling them in the opposite direction. You know, when you're watching the television or looking on social media or reading the paper or just sitting out in the world and you feel this tug on your heart to do something, that's God's call. That is God's call. Be sure of it. Last week, we were driving through Eugene. We had come up to the corner of, I believe it was 99, which is 6th Street, and maybe Chambers. There was a woman standing on the corner. I noticed her, Thomas noticed her. Peyton reached down and grabbed a bag of love, hit his dad on the arm, and offered it. Thomas rolled down the window and handed it out the door, or out the window. And she said, "Thank you, God bless you," and immediately began to drink the water that was in that bag. And in that moment, I felt such a swell of inspired pride, or whatever you want to call it, for my son, who felt the call in his heart and didn't ignore it. Maybe the call you hear is just to smile, look someone in the eye, acknowledge them, answer that heart call. It doesn't take a lot of work to be kind. It is the way of Christ's people to show love. Your call is there within you. When we do small things in the name of Christ, great things happen. Brian Hash tells me, if you had not come over and asked me to step in on an emergency basis as a counselor at camp, I don't think I would be here. I don't think I'd be doing what I truly love, which is ministry. You make an impact in people's lives. Your call may lead to the call of someone else, leading the church to a new day. We don't know. What we know is that we can answer God. All we have to do is in those moments in our lives when God is pulling us, all we have to do is step into the circle and say yes. Yes, Lord. I'm here, and I will serve you the same. Amen.
My sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give. Because of your love, because of your love, I live. Innocent and holy King, died to set the captives free, all because of your love. Lord, you gave your life for me, so I will live my life for you, all because of your love, all because of your love, because of your cross, my debt is paid, because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give. Because of your love, because of your love, I live. You did it for me, you did it for love. It's your victory, Jesus, you are enough. You did it for me, you did it for love. It's your victory, Jesus, you are enough. You did it for me, you did it for love. It's your victory, Jesus, you are enough. Because of your cross, my sin is paid. Because of your blood, my sins are washed away. Now all of my life I freely give. Because of your love, because of your love, I live. Because of your love,
As we join together at the table of our Lord, we come from many different places. We come to share in Christ's love here in this place, filled with his joy, filled with his hope. We come to the table and share with God. He calls you here. Answer him. Be with one another. Be strengthened and ready for all that he calls you to do. For all who are able to stand as we join together in our hymn of communion.
We bring the wine, we also bring the bread, and all of us are hungry. We come today, we are the soul. We praise you, O God, we praise you, O God, we praise you, O God. Yes, we praise you, O God, we praise you, O God. Thank you, God, for giving us the bread, for giving us the wine. We thank you, too, for all your love to us and all your gracious mercies. We thank you, God, for giving us your care and for so much more. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. Yes, we praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you, God, for giving us your care and for so much more. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God. We thank you for your love. We praise your name, O God
confession of faith that is printed above on the screen and in your bulletin. I believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and my personal Savior and Lord. Let us pray.
As we gather here around this table, we have so much to be grateful for that every week we have this reminder that God is in Christ, reconciling the world to Himself. We are grateful, O God, for your love, for those who share that with us, and we will share with others. Amen.
May please be seated. For on the night when Jesus was betrayed, he took bread. He blessed it, and then he broke it, and he offered it to them, saying, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me." After the supper, he took a cup of wine. He blessed it and offered it to them, saying, "Drink from this cup, all of you, for this is the wine of the new covenant, my blood shed for forgiveness of sins. For as often as we eat of this bread and we drink from this cup, we proclaim the Lord's glory until he comes. And when he comes, we will share in the kingdom. Come to the welcome table of the Lord, for all are invited." As you know, I'm certain that about the floods in Louisiana and the fires in California, Week of Compassion has put out a call, and next week we will have a special call off emergency offering for those endeavors for Week of Compassion. There are also Church World Service that is making cleanup basket or cleanup buckets, and Weekly Compassion, I believe, is also sending them money. So as we begin to think about our giving at the end of this month, I encourage you to think about how you might share in that particular offering as well. As we bring our offerings together today, we bring them together in faith, called by God to share not as payment for what He did for us, but as an expression of our response to His love. Whatever we bring, be it monetary wealth, be it something material to share, or a gift of the Spirit that is placed inside us, all of these gifts are blessed and precious in God's sight. And so we invite you to give abundantly of all the gifts that God has sown into your life. May we be generous with all that God has I'd like to turn your attention to the White Ministers Opportunities page there in your bulletin. I want to invite everyone to stay after worship to share in the goodies that have been brought, the time for coffee fellowship, to share with one another and fellowship together. I think there are a couple of things from a garden over here as well, so you might take a look at those, and I imagine that more will be coming in the weeks ahead. Do please note those upcoming events, in particular the church yard sale, which will be this next Saturday. The youth will be having a fundraiser bake sale as well, and I have it on fairly good authority that there's going to be a lot of really yummy baked goods. So, if you went on a diet, you need to just take a break, because you don't want to miss it. But the kids are going to begin raising money. April and I met this week, and we have some really fun ideas for the kids to do, some outings for them, as well as looking at curriculum for them. And so we encourage you to come and share in any fundraising that they do, including they are still collecting the pop cans. They made $50 off the pop cans that were given this last time, so that's really exciting. That's in addition, I think, to some just gifts that were given so that people didn't have to haul their bottles and cans here. But if you need someone to come pick up your bottles and cans, let us know. Let's see if we can arrange that and make that happen. It's a good service project for our kiddos. I do want to just quickly announce two things. The first is a little bit about what's going to happen next week. So, as sometimes happens in the summer, Pastor goes on vacation. And apparently all the retired people decide to go on vacation too. I have called no less than 7 of my colleagues, none of which can share and worship. And Sharon had to do this a couple of times. So, and she's had a lot going on this week. So next week, you will be sharing in a very special kind of sermon. I believe that Beth will be reading. There may be someone else as well. It's going to be a sermon, a visual sermon. It's something I'm writing. Not a traditional sermon like what I speak, but more like a poem. And there will be images to go with it. So for those of you who are really visual, this is going to be a feast. Hopefully for those of you who are auditory, you will enjoy it as well, because you will hear beauty, I hope. But it's something I've been wanting to try, and this is my opportunity to do so. Some of the elders will be stepping in traditional roles of sharing in the opening prayer and sharing the announcements and some other things. But I invite you to please be praying for the whole of those who will participate in worship next week. We are still church. No matter where I am, no matter where you are, we are church together. And so I know that it's going to be a really wonderful service. But when you look there at the bulletin, you say sermon title to be announced, and actually there is a Luke scripture that will be read as our secondary scripture. The Hebrew scripture is the scripture we will be using for the sermon. And so that's happening, and the sermon title is, I think it's called Images of Holiness is what I told you. So, Images of Holiness. So come and see what that might be about. My second announcement, because Becca's here, I told her. So over here is the new plan for the church. And I know last week, as some of you maybe looked at it, it was a little confusing because things are not listed. So here, this front, this is Centennial here at the top. So Centennial will be here. And this street here is Kelly. Okay? So you will note that the entry to the church, this entry out here, will actually become this lovely edifice here. We'll point out that says, yes, we really are a church. There's a cross and everything. And our name. And actually, this sign is from the old church. So that'll be really neat. Okay? This is the southwest view, which is the view over here of it. And I want you all to come over and take a look at this. But over here, and this is where the entrance to the church will be. You will come in, these are the parking lots here. Okay, and on this one, the parking lot comes off of this. But this is a view of the parking lot from above. Parking lot is behind the building, back here, and beside the building, over here. And the handicap spot is closest to this space. Okay? And you will enter through this space and then come into the church from what is the community room, right here. There will be an actual nursery behind the sanctuary. We hope with a soundproof window, so that parents can see what's going on and hear what's going on, but the children will also be free to play. The kitchen, because we went with flipping the sanctuary, I'll just a second. The kitchen will be able to be just a little bit bigger. We're just going to have a kitchen along the wall. It'll be kind of like what we have over there, only it'll be a kitchen. But we're actually able to have a pantry, a kitchen sink with refrigerator, and a little island to serve from, which that sounds really exciting, right? And there will be enough room for tables and chairs with 2 ADA bathrooms here. What we're doing is we're flipping the sanctuary. Instead of the chance to be there, it will be back here and further out. We are pushing further out. We can't push out quite as far as we thought we could, so that's part of why flipping it makes a lot of sense. It gives us more space. So by flipping the sanctuary, the translator will be down here. It will be lowered to just 2 steps up, which will make it simpler for everyone. We are still trying very hard to have a communion table on the bottom, at the floor level. Because we're making this change, it will also be possible to have a ramp come up behind the chancel. We actually have to do this because of ADA regulations. But a ramp that gives access to the chancel area for anyone who needs a little bit of extra help. And this is a railing wall here, so that people can hold it with their hand if you need to walk, or for persons who need a wheelchair or a walker to come up through this. There will be plenty of room for our instrument and for me, and any other pastor who comes along in ages of forward. This door is just a side door in case of fire to get out of the building. There is a door that goes off the chancel that will lead right into my office. Not please. But also, along what is the sidewalk here, there is another door that enters into the administrative assistant's office, and then a door from her office, or his office, into the pastor's office. The copy and file room will be separate, which is kind of neat. Pam, who has tried to work doing some things, having that copier making lots of noise, knows how nice that will be, to be kind of off of the office. There will then, because we flipped it again, there's a small bathroom for the administrative assistant and the pastor to use, and that enables us to then have storage. Now, let me be very clear. This does not mean a lot of storage. So next summer, there will be many, many more things to go in the yard sale, because we do not need them. But this will be storage for our decorations, our Christmas, and our paraments, and all of these things. We'll have a nice storage area here. And I think I've kind of covered everything. If you have questions, you can ask me, because I'm the only one who's here today who was at the meeting. Yes? No. So let me explain that. So we're going to take out the baptismal piece, and we're going to have what is actually a movable baptistry. Because of space constraints and the fact that we don't have a whole lot of, we don't have as many baptisms, we need something that can be set up easily and taken down easily. And so we have worked together and have a wonderful solution that I'm going to let someone else share with you later. But know that we will always be able to have a baptistry when we need it. It will fit on the chancel. Because we have chairs, we can move them and make baptisms a much more grand affair, as opposed to, well, it's up there and then they're gone and they're gone. It will be something much more special, I think. And also, we won't have to deal with any of the plumbing issues that we've had to deal with this. And those of you thinking about being baptized, I know all of you are baptized, but if you know someone thinking about it, Jordan, it's not going to be cold. It will always be warm. We are. We're getting a soft tub to do that, and it will be very nice and much easier to use, and just as holy, I promise. So we're looking forward to that. We will still be doing immersion baptisms in this church, but they actually may end up even being easier for your pastor as I age and anyone else who comes along. So that's kind of what's happening there. This enables us to stay within our regulations, gives us enough parking to satisfy the city. And so now we're in what's called the discretionary period. We hope to be breaking ground in the spring, because during the discretionary, that's all of the stuff that has to happen with paperwork, and permits getting paid and that kind of thing. Now, I want to say one last thing about this. I know that some of us are very concerned about how we're going to pay for this. And I think it's important for us to remember and to let those who know who have come since that time. When we sold the old building, we made a commitment to being a community church in this place. We made a commitment, and we understood that the money that came from that would help us to pay some of our bills here for this building to building, but also would help us to pay for any other things that we wanted to do to the church. We are going to be seeking a private loan through a bank that has worked with several other churches in the area. We have elected to do this because it is a much faster and cleaner process than the other process we were looking at. The board has made that decision, and they have the power to do so. Now, the point of what I'm saying is we can pay for this. We don't need to fear that. What we get from NEDCO will help us not only to take care of our everyday expenses, but also to pay our loan payment, but also because whether we know it or not, you are very faithful givers. When there is a need, you step forward. And this is the other thing I know. When we began this process 9 years ago, when I came, I was not always sure where we were going, but God always knew where we were going. And God would show you. When things fell through with St. Vincent de Paul, because we thought we were going to sell the building to them, if you remember, I thought, wow, what's going to happen now? And then NEDCO came along. And we could feel that push, and we knew that's what God wanted us to do. And it was right, and it felt right. And when we found this building, I wasn't real sure, some of us weren't real sure, but others who had real vision were like, oh yeah, I can see it. And when they began to talk about their vision, that sense of, this is what God's calling us to do, settled into us. Everyone who sat in on the meeting feels at absolute peace with this and knows that this is what God's calling us to do. So we know that God's going to make a way. God always makes a way. That's why we're the church that does, not the church that might. We're the church that does, because we place ourselves in God's hands and we trust Him. And He has never failed us. So we're going to pray and we're going to work together. And yes, we're going to have a capital campaign because we are people of faith and God's calling us. And with this new space, we're going to be able to do even more than we're already doing in this place. I'm going to tell you one other thing. I got to have a conversation several months ago with a police officer who patrols regularly here. And he shared with me, you know, it's really nice that the church is there, that you're there. And I said, oh, why? And he said, because the 2 drug houses that I know were on this block are gone. And I think it's partly because you are present. So we're doing good, even when we don't know it. I invite as many of you as can be here for the church sale to come and to be here. I will be praying with you. I won't be here, obviously, as I'm going to be gone with family, but I will be praying with you. And come and enjoy and greet the people who come to share. And share that kindness I was talking about. Share your call to be God's people. I invite you to share in that, and I look forward to hearing about the wonderful things that happen. And I really am looking forward to this journey that we're on, and the great things we are doing, and the things we're going to do. We really are the church of the people. So, if you have any other questions about the plan, see me after worship, and I'll answer them. Please look at that plan and see all the possibilities. Any question right here?
On the yard sale, I got volunteered for the trailer, and I am bringing the trailer. I've already been asked to stop and pick up bigger items, so I'm going to do some muscle with the things that I bring to the church. If that is something that you need, I need to know today so I can schedule it. I'm not very good with a surprise. I'm working on that, but that's definitely not my good comfort zone. So let me know. We can arrange maybe to pick stuff up on Friday if you have really big items that you need, or something. We will be showing up at 6 o'clock Saturday morning to help set up. Will be here all day. So if you have youth that would like to be involved, we're doing a bake sale as well as setting up and taking down and organizing. So you can drop in for a couple hours or whatever, help me out. That'd be great. But again, big stuff that needs to be done right now. Go around with the church trailer and the muscles. Right up on the door.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you'd like to contribute to the bake sale, I know that April would really appreciate that.
I can't bake, so I'm not baking.
We're all baking. So please do remember, I think that the ladies would like for you to price as many things as possible yourselves that you're bringing. So please go ahead and do that. If they need to raise or lower those prices, they will do that accordingly. But if you can show up or bring things or drop things off that are already priced, I know that would be helpful too.
We're also meeting at 10 o'clock on Friday to do pricing, but we have to keep that there. So from 10 to 12 on Friday, free to help price.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. I know that was a lengthy announcement time, but I wanted to share all those things and make sure we covered everything. So let's stand as we are able and join together our closing praise.
King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. King of kings and Lord of lords, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah. Jesus, Prince of Peace, glory, hallelujah.
Beloved of God, you have been called to holiness. Go forth and share all that God has placed upon your heart. Go in peace, go in joy. Amen.